Welcome to LA Controversial, your inside guide to the more colourful side of life in the limelight. In 2007, Eddie Murphy was determined not to embarrass himself after his first ever Oscar nomination for his role in the big screen adaptation of Dreamgirls.
It's flattering. It's flattering. That'd be wonderful. I don't want to get excited, then you lose, then you feel stupid. So I'll just be flattered.
If only Eddie could show as much restraint in his private life, which at times has offered up more entertainment value than his films. His first big embarrassment came in 1997, when he was pulled over by the LA police after picking up a pre-op transsexual called Shalimar on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. Fast forward 10 years, 2 months after Melanie Brown of Spice Girls fame declared they were an item and that she was expecting his child, Eddie dropped another clanger by telling a journalist that they were no longer together and that he didn't know who the father was. Clearly, he'd never heard of girl power. And Scary Spice was just about to live up to her name. After naming the baby girl Angel Irish Murphy Brown, she ordered a paternity test. With the results in hand and her lawyer by her side, she triumphantly called a press conference in August 2007.
We are asking the court to legally establish Eddie Murphy as the father of Melanie and Eddie's baby, Angel Iris Murphy Brown, who was born on April 3rd, 2007. Subsequently, Mr. Murphy did take a DNA test, which established him as the father.
Having broken the good news, Gloria was starting to enjoy herself.
I think it is appalling that Mr. Murphy went on television to say what he did and impugn Melanie's reputation by suggesting that the baby may have been someone else's, when he knew very well that they had planned the pregnancy and that she was in a committed relationship with him when she became pregnant.
Then it was up to Mel to do it for all those single mothers out there.
Angel is my baby and Eddie's. She will always know that she was planned and wanted by the both of us. But I also wanted to know that she has two parents who desire to be responsible for her during her life and who love her so much that they want to be a part of it.
In Eddie's case, being part of it meant handing over sole custody of Angel to Scary Spice, along with $35,000 a month in child support. Despite the private life complications and his failure to win an Oscar, Eddie wasn't to come away from 2007 completely empty-handed, thanks to his Golden Raspberry Award-winning work in the big screen comedy Norbit.
And he has set a new Razzie record. He is nominated for Worst Actor as the title character, Worst Supporting Actor as Mr. Wong, Worst Supporting Actress as Rasputia, Worst Screen Couple because he appears opposite himself throughout the film, playing 2 or 3 characters at the same time, and then he co-wrote the horrible screenplay for Norbit. So he has 5 nominations in a single year. I don't think anyone has ever achieved that level of what we're talking about here, which is yes.
With Bob Geldof and Paula Yates for parents, a girl could either shrink away from a life in the spotlight or exploit her famous name for all it was worth. Peaches Geldof chose to do the latter. At the age of 15, she had her own column in the UK edition of Elle Girl. A year later, she was writing and hosting her own reality TV show, Peaches Geldof, A Teenage Mind. Since then, the precocious publicity seeker has begun a modeling career and been named one of Tatler magazine's top 10 fashion icons, with legendary designers like Betsy Johnson queuing up to dress her.
Do you wear a lot of her line? Yeah, I do. I like it. It's good if you can tone it down a little bit. I don't know if I would wear it like this, but I think it's very cool.
She looked to be giving Paris Hilton a run for her money as the world's favourite socialite, but Peaches was determined to make it clear that she was no airhead, as she posed on the Croisette at the opening of the Cannes Film Festival.
I came because I love nerds, so I'm a nerd at heart. It's true. People know that about me now, I think.
One thing people did know about Paula and Sir Bob's little girl was that at the age of 19, She'd already married and divorced American musician Chester French. She was the center of more controversy in March 2010, when nude pictures of her were posted on the internet, putting paid to her lucrative contract as the face of Ultimo underwear. Making it in show business didn't come quickly for Michael J. Fox, who hit a long dry spell after his early success as a teenager. But there seemed to be an especially cruel irony when it was revealed that he was suffering from Parkinson's disease, a degenerative disorder of the central nervous system more often associated with older people. The eternally youthful star had long been famous for his convincing portrayal as teenager Marty McFly in the Back to the Future trilogy, even though he was 24 when it started and nearly 30 by the time it finished. Michael was diagnosed with young-onset Parkinson's in 1991, but didn't disclose it publicly until 1998, after spending 7 years hiding his symptoms and struggling to perform in his hit TV sitcom Spin City. Despite the steadfast support of Tracy Pollan, who he married in 1988, by 2000 Michael's disease had progressed to the point that it was having a serious impact on his ability to work, and he retired from acting. But that didn't mean he was about to disappear.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as honorary mayor of Hollywood, I hereby proclaim this Michael J. Fox Day in Hollywood. And with that, I introduce our honored guest, Michael J. Fox.
Stepping up to unveil his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2002, he was full of humility and gratitude.
It's a great thing to do for a living, to do something you love, and to hear all the time that maybe you've done something to make people happy, or they've seen something you've enjoyed, and it's no more than that and it's no less than that. It's just that, and it's great.
Since then, though, the father of 4 has been proving that there is still plenty of fight in him yet by becoming a staunch advocate of controversial stem cell research. He's also had to defend himself from people like right-wing broadcaster Rush Limbaugh, who accused Michael of faking his tremors during a campaign ad the actor made for Missouri Senate candidate Claire McCaskill. Even way back in 1985, tourists at Madame Tussauds in London must have wondered which of the 2 Michael Jacksons looked the most lifelike. The waxwork is the one on the left. By then, the King of Pop was already a long way down the track of ditching the round-faced, dark-skinned, afro-haired look of his boy wonder days in favor of sunken cheeks, pointy nose, red lips, white gloves, and equally white skin.
America fell in love with Michael Jackson as a cute little brown-skinned boy with a huge afro and a cute smile. As a man, he looked like a different person. He had almost white skin, very different nose, long straight hair. Despite that transformation, Michael Jackson claimed that he didn't have a lot of plastic surgery.
His transformation from chic to freak appeared to begin somewhere between the release of his groundbreaking 1979 album Off the Wall and the biggest-selling album of all time, Thriller, which hit record stores in 1982. His history-making video clip to the Thriller single had some cruel commentators suggesting that Michael looked way more scary before he turned into the werewolf than after. Despite his outrageously altered appearance, Thriller flew off the shelves, and by 1983, Michael Jackson had become the biggest solo singing star since Elvis Presley, when he signed up for a sponsorship deal with Pepsi. But during the filming of a commercial in front of 3,000 fans the following year, a fireworks display behind him went wrong, sending a shower of sparks over Michael that set fire to his hair. He suffered second-degree burns and was forced to wear a hairpiece for many months after. This tragic accident has since been depicted as a pivotal point in Michael's life. And in recent years, spokespeople from the Jackson camp have claimed the singer's acknowledged dependency on painkillers dates back to his recovery from the accident. However, Michael's real headache began in 1993, when molestation charges were brought against him by a child claiming to have stayed with him at his Neverland Ranch on several occasions. The same year, Jordan Chandler accused him of child sexual abuse. The King of Pop protested his innocence and completely blindsided the media by marrying the daughter of the King of Rock and Roll.
One of Michael Jackson's most shocking moments was definitely his marriage to Lisa Marie Presley, Elvis Presley's daughter. People could not believe that these two were together. She, after they divorced, went on Oprah and said that she actually was really in love with Michael Jackson. It just didn't work out.
But that distraction didn't put an end to Michael's child molestation pressures. His family held a press conference to show their support.
I'd like to let the world know that I'm behind my son. I don't believe any of this stuff that's being written about him because I raised him and I know him, and that's just a statement people are making.
We support our brother wholeheartedly, and we stand by his side, and we're in the process of planning a trip with the whole family to visit him.
Well, perhaps not the whole family. While the rest of the Jackson clan may have been right behind him, Michael's big sister LaToya was singing a very different tune.
Michael is my brother. I love him a great deal, but I cannot and I will not be a silent collaborator of his crimes against small, innocent children. And if I remain silent, then that means that I feel the guilt and the humiliation that these children are feeling, and I think it's very wrong. I have seen checks payable to the parents of these children. And I don't know if these children were apparently bought to the parents by Michael or not, but I have seen these checks, and I've seen these checks through my mother. She's shown me these checks.
Although Michael denied any allegations of wrongdoing in the Jordan Chandler case, he ended up parting with $20 million to settle the case out of court to get the charges dropped. From then on, Michael's health became of increasing concern. In 1995, he collapsed on stage during a concert in New York, suffering from dehydration and low blood pressure. Visitors to the hospital included his then-wife, Lisa Marie Presley. His growing habit of wearing face masks in public, along with published shots of his flaky nose, fueled speculation that his addiction to cosmetic surgery was way out of hand and that his face was on the verge of caving in. At a family reunion concert in 2001, he didn't seem altogether with it when he appeared on the red carpet with Liz Taylor.
It's a reunion, and I'm honored that the world appreciates my art. I'm very honored.
He couldn't have been much more with it the following year, when he ignited a furore by dangling his baby Prince, aka Blanket, from a balcony in Berlin.
Now, he says that he didn't think it was controversial. He just wanted his fans to see his baby. Child advocacy groups said that it was downright dangerous.
The press added unfit parent to its list of unflattering labels, and the stage was set for Michael's greatest battle yet. In 2003, Sheriff Jim Anderson called a press conference outside the gates of Neverland Ranch in California.
An arrest warrant for Mr. Jackson has been issued on multiple counts of child molestation. The bail amount on the warrant has been set at $3 million.
Michael was duly arrested and charged with 7 counts of child molestation and 2 counts of administering an intoxicating agent to Gavin Arvizo, a 13-year-old boy recovering from cancer. He was also charged with conspiracy to abduct the boy and members of his family. The trial was turned into a circus, thanks to the overwhelming public interest and Michael's bizarre behavior. On the days when he managed to appear, he would wave at the crowd and hang out of the sunroof of his chauffeur-driven car. On one occasion, he turned up to the trial in pajamas, to add weight to his legal team's claim that he was sick. However, on June the 13th, 2005, he was found not guilty on all counts.
Michael Jackson never denied the fact that he loved children. He had a couple of kids of his own, but his career had a lot of controversy over the fact that he was accused but never convicted of molestation a couple of times.
After his acquittal, he made a beeline for Bahrain in the Persian Gulf. where he was safe from claims he'd made anti-Semitic statements calling Jews leeches. Finally, in March 2009, he looked set to put all the pain and controversy of his past 20 years behind him, with a spectacular 50-date comeback at London's O2 Arena.
These will be my final show performances in London. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it.
But rather than going down in a blaze of glory, the King of Pop was destined to die 3 months later as he had lived, shrouded in controversy.
But it seemed like his life was on an upturn. He was slated to start a tour. He had recently given a press conference. So his death is just shocking to his fans and to the media world alike.
In August 2009, the LA County coroner declared Michael's fatal cardiac arrest a homicide, caused by the combination of drugs in his system. His personal physician, Conrad Murray, has since pleaded not guilty to involuntary manslaughter. One of the most shocking scandals ever to rock Tinseltown came right out of left field when Oscar-winning writer, director and actor Woody Allen was caught having an affair with his partner's adopted daughter. Short, stuttering, self-obsessed and balding, Woody had always been the absolute antithesis of a Hollywood heartthrob, even though he'd always managed to get the girl. He enjoyed a high-profile romance with Diane Keaton in the 1970s, and then began a 12-year relationship with the star of 1968's Rosemary's Baby, who had amassed a large collection of adopted children. Although they never married, Woody and Mia Farrow adopted 2 children and had a biological son together. In 1992, Mia was devastated to discover nude pictures taken by Woody of Soon-Yi, the 22-year-old daughter she'd adopted with her previous husband, Andre Previn. Woody admitted he'd been having sex with Soon-Yi, and the scandal made the global headlines. During the public fracas that followed, another of Mia's ex-husbands, Frank Sinatra, reportedly offered to have Woody Allen's legs broken. But Mia chose instead to fight him in the courtroom, and in the pages of her autobiography, What Falls Away.
But when my father phoned in the early hours of a January night, I could not tell him where she was. And later still, when the phone rang and rang and rang, I pulled the pillow tight around my ears. And when, in the hard light of day, we learned that my father had died that night of a heart attack with the phone in his hand, winds of nothingness blew cold across my soul.
Woody's public image was taking such a bashing that he was forced to overcome his contempt of the press and get in front of the cameras to defend himself. He spoke of being appalled at accusations he'd molested his 7-year-old daughter and his 4-year-old son. He also accused Mia Farrow's lawyers of demanding $7 million to drop the allegations and stop the children from talking to the press. Mia's lawyers were quick to deny any such payoff demands. The messy courtroom battle ended in victory for Mia, who won custody of the children and left the defeated Woody feeling very hard done by. In one way, however, he went on to have the last laugh. 4 years later, at the age of 62, he married 27-year-old Soon-Yi, and the couple has since adopted 2 children of their own. One celebrity who doesn't hide his light under a bushel is Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee. In 2003, maverick entrepreneur Scott Bloom had no trouble persuading him to strip down to his birthday suit to promote BuyMusic.com, to bring attention to artists who are losing income through free downloads.
Well, how many people are going to pose naked in Times Square on a 200-foot billboard out there? Tommy Lee. So plus we're friends, we hang out.
We just kind of showed up and got naked and started clicking. You know, it was fun. We had a really, really good time. Cranked the music up. Away we went.
He could have been referring to an incident that had occurred 8 years earlier on his honeymoon with Pamela Anderson. The home video of the newlyweds making out on a yacht subsequently found its way onto the internet, becoming the most downloaded video of the year. Pamela and Tommy Lee sued, eventually winning $1.5 million from the offending distributor. But given Pam's image as a Baywatch pinup and Tommy Lee's prefix of bad boy drummer, the revelation that they'd filmed their lovemaking on their honeymoon was hardly a shock to anyone. While Pam was well used to exposing her assets, reviewers praised Tommy's hidden talent. In fact, even 7 years later, an internet company reported that 95% of searches on his name related to the stolen tape, with only 5% of seekers interested in his drumming. Any real fans of Motley Crue would have seen it all before, as the shameless exhibitionist is given to mooning the audience at nearly every show. It's all in a day's work for the hard rocker, whose career has been built on controversial stunts, from throwing television sets through hotel room windows to being thrown into the slammer for assaulting his ex-wife. Ironically, he has since claimed that his 4 months in prison gave him a much-needed break from the spotlight. But since Motley Crue reformed in 2004, he's jumped back on the self-promotional bandwagon. First, there was the reality TV show Tommy Lee Goes to College, where he got to enroll at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln and struggle his way through a series of classes alongside the college's straight-laced students.
I never had the opportunity to go to college. At a young age, I got a recording contract with Motley Crue, and I've pretty much been making records and touring since then. So I kind of got robbed of that experience, and when this came about, I was like, you know what? Sounds like a lot of fun. And
then there was the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Who loves you more than anything in the whole world? I love you guys. Thank you. This is incredible. What? I got a star in Hollywood Boulevard.
Even as the veteran rockers celebrated making it through 25 years of hard rock and roll, someone had to bring up the sex tape.
Tommy Lee's my favorite.
Tell me a little bit about
why he's your... you really want me to tell you that? Because he's good at two things. He's good with sticks, and it looks like he's pretty good in the sack, so...
Then came Crue Fest. No doubt learning from Ozzy Osbourne just how much money was to be creamed by original hard rockers who'd got enough brain cells left to get their head around merchandising, they were ready to round up the groups and get out on the road. But for Tommy Lee, it was still just about the rock and roll.